Nigeria has recorded its best performance in the Open Budget Survey with a score of 45% in the latest 2021 survey for transparency, depicting an improvement by 24 points, a significant leap from the 21 scored in the 2019 exercise. And with this report, Nigeria's performance is the second highest improvement worldwide. It was disclosed in Abuja by the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze, at the official launch of the Open Budget Survey 2021 report by the Budget Office in conjunction with the International Budget Partnership. Akabweze pledged the federal government's commitment to all the different moving parts of the PFM reform agenda, stressing that central to it is the bullish domestic revenue mobilization effort, as well as efficiency in revenue and expenditure management. Well, let's bring in Dr. Emeka Ejikaonye, who is a specialist in public budgeting, working to introduce a budgetary reform initiative for bridging a new approach to governance that is founded on the principle of good governance across the nation. It's glad to have you here, join us. Now, let's just start with the open budgeting system. I mean, what's been your observation?
Yeah, when I came across this, I don't intend to shock you or to embarrass anybody. But when I came across this, I Googled it and I searched. And the first thing that struck me was, what is the identity of this international budget partnership? Who is running it? About us. I didn't see, is it a United Nations body? Is it that of the Commonwealth, World Bank, IMF, African Union? Who is running this open budget? Who owns it? It's not there. I'm sorry.
The officials were there in Abuja here.
I don't. Well, what I'm saying is,
are you saying that they are not well recognized individuals when it comes to budgeting globally?
Yes, they should have told us who they are. By knowing who you are, I will know your pedigree and I know what you can, what you're bringing on board for me. You know, that's I was so embarrassed. So, and I ask myself again, what would the competence level or knowledge base of these individuals actually talk about this? Second one is, in what context did that report perceive accountability and transparency? In what context? They didn't. I looked at what our DG budgeting said and all that, and I said, then I came down to what extent does it actually address the endemic issues of leakages? We're talking about, you have given us a report. We as Nigerians are looking at our the realities on ground.
Which is the very, very controversial thing that's going on.
The realities on ground, what it has given us, is that what we have on ground? I don't intend to embarrass. It's not my intention here to embarrass anybody, but we must have to face facts.
Yeah, and if they are the realities, why don't we say
so
them?
You know, in the morning I watched your program, morning show. Your crew then were talking about Nigeria being reduced to a caricature, that we are becoming a huge joke. We shouldn't allow this. For me, we shouldn't allow. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on anybody.
Are you saying that our budgeting system has not progressed the way this organization is trying to say?
It is completely flawed, highly defective.
And what's been your observation?
And we need a comprehensive reform, comprehensive total reform.
So what are you suggesting?
What I'm suggesting now is, I have actually gave you an institutional. I wish you can show it, if you don't mind. We can, because we don't have the time.
Yeah,
I can show you where we are now. Yeah, yes. That is where we are now. You see that existing budgeting framework. Now, please, the first slide, please. This is the second one. The first slide, yes.
Okay.
The existing budgeting framework, institutional structure. You see the legislature there. You see the president, the seal of the president. You see there is a particular individual in charge of budgeting.
Yeah.
You see that individual.
Budget, yeah.
You see that the budget office of the federation is sitting, that individual is sitting atop the budget office of the federation. Because in Nigeria, we tend to separate budgeting from planning, which is wrong conceptually.
Yeah, you have the Director General of the Budget Office.
That is completely wrong.
Minister of Planning.
Yes.
Whether the substantive or
the Planning Office is different from the Budget Office of the Federation. It's wrong because budgeting is actually planning. So why institutionally must you separate the two of them? Somna, if the planning process comes in short, medium, and long-term perspective, the nickname, I don't know if you have a nickname. The nickname for short-term planning is budgeting. That is where activity takes place. You don't come in the structure and you separate them. That's the major problem we're having in Nigeria.
But we used to have both of them together.
You've never. What you do is most times, just like we have done now, we have brought them under one individual as minister. But the planning office has always operated individual, separate from the budgeting office of the Federation. Go check. And the conceptual framework has been the same. The planning office trying to develop economic development, economic goals, not social. Determining economic, not really social development. These two words mean a lot. Okay. There's a word in them.
So let's go ahead with your proposals.
Yeah, the first one there, if you can recall that slide, please. Yes. Now you see what happens is that at the beginning of the budgeting process, the minister or that minister issues what is called a budget circular to the DG of the budget office of the Federation. Now that DG sends this thing. He now and his men now have what they call an interaction. You see the arrow between the two of them and the civil service. You can see Nigerians are standing alone. There's a complete disconnect. Government is not connected to the Nigerian people in this slide. You understand? Now these guys in the civil service, that arrow is pointing at an individual. On the civil service, you have the permanent secretary. Under the permanent secretary, you have the director of finance and accounts. Under the director of finance and accounts, you have the deputy director of budget. This deputy director and his team interact with the civil servants to now develop what we call the program funding request. Now, I'll tell you that it is at this point of this interaction, I'm sorry to say, we must have to review certain things to identify our problem. This is a fault line because more of 70% of the corruption cases in Nigeria are developed here.
Because there's no nexus with the Nigerians.
Yes,
nobody
you've known. When we get to the next slide,
you see the circle there. The arrows there, it doesn't link up with
it's not linking up. When we get to the next slide, you will see what I'm talking about. Now, what they do there, please, the first one, let's explain the first one fully before we get to the second one. Now, you see, these people here, they are negotiating more. But this is what we put in. I'm sorry to say this. Most times what they are doing there is how to misappropriate public funds into private pockets. Now, when they finish, it takes back to the minister. The minister sends it. The president does not make any contribution at all. Whatever the minister sends is what the president sends to the National Assembly. You can see it's a one-way arrow from the minister to the president. From the president to the National Assembly, one-way arrow. Then again, another fourth line. The National Assembly, that direct interaction between the members of the National Assembly and the civil servants. That is where, again, corruption is negotiated in Nigeria. We must have to solve these problems at this point. So
how do we get the people involved?
Now we'll go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide, please. Please, can you bring up the next slide? Yes, now you can see this. The arrows there are two-way. And you can see the lady now, the president, is no longer the budget minister of budget. What we have there is now minister. Do you understand? It's just minister. Every minister now has a budget agency under him or a budget bureau under him or her. The president now has the budget agency too. It's a two-way. You can see the interactions there are two-way.
Yeah.
Now, if you see under the president, we must also now separate what we are doing today, which is economic, actually what you call the fiscal policy thing, or we call budgeting, has to now to be done by that Council of Economic Advisors to the president. While budgeting must be seen to be the instrument for policy coordination. Okay. Are you getting it?
So the difference here that I'm saying from what we have here, the people are being connected.
Yes.
So now, how are the people connected?
Now, how the people are being connected is I told you the program funding requests are developed by the Deputy Director Budget up there. This time around, you can see the arrow is pointing to the field level officers of the civil service. Every civil service agency has an organizational structure. You have your boss, you're reporting to superiors, reporting to the subordinate. It gets to a level, there's a unit that actually interacts with the clientele of that agency, then reports up. You get what I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it is take agriculture now, there are offices at the field level that interact with the farmers, with the food processing agencies. Those agencies that process the outputs and actually also give input. That office is very strategic.
So they collate all the farmers and those within the sector are saying, and then start pushing it up.
Those are the Nigerians. Every agency of government has a clientele it is servicing. Commerce, manufacturing,
Which is why we call them ministries, for example, to minister to Nigerians.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that we don't have these institutions ministering to Nigerians.
Yes, because there's no connection. The program funding requests, the package for which we fund our budgets are developed from the wrong agency, from the wrong unit in the ministry. It should be developed. Look, there's a saying that in your house now, you can't be here and determine what is happening and tell us what is happening in your house. It is only the person in your house that you can call and say, what is happening in my house? It is the individual who is closest to a problem that can define that problem and provide solutions for it. And I want to ask you,
is this the reason why Nigerians are disconnected totally from these issues of budgeting? And how do we improve that connection? Because people keep hearing billions, trillions every year and year out. You can see the picture there, the president every now and then submitting budgets. But when you ask Nigerians, they say, these guys, they are not speaking for us. We don't know what the president is saying or the ministers are doing.
That's why I need that second slide brought in so that we can speak to it. I want us to speak to that visual. You see, if you now allow these field level officers who are interfacing with the clientele, with Nigerians, they relate with Nigerians via workshops, town hall meetings.
It's back.
Yes. So you can, when they interact, you see they interact with various segments of society. When I say Nigerians, I'm talking about farmers interacting with the Ministry of Agriculture, field level
businessmen, importers.
Interact with the Ministry of Commerce or Manufacturing. You understand? That ministry is interacting directly at that level. It is this individual, after that interaction, that will now build the program funding request. And then it is now negotiated up in terms of priority of the chief of the government. The President Buhari now says change. When you have developed this program funding requests, you negotiate them with your bosses up, having in mind that what the president says is change. To what extent is the program funding request you have brought in? Is it going to help the president achieve the intention of change?
Okay, I'm being told that we have some few minutes left. How do we interpret the role of the National Assembly in this process? I thought that the National Assembly represent the people, these same people that you're saying that these government officials are not relating with. So what's the role of the National Assembly, which is populated by representatives of the people?
You see, looking at that slide again, the second slide again, I tell you, you need to, I don't blame any of these Nigerians in office. Personally, if not for the benefit of research, I wouldn't have come to this level. You see, if you don't, you have to insulate the members of the National Assembly from that direct interaction with the civil servants, where they negotiate. What they do rather is negotiating how to bring, transfer public funds into private pockets.
What if not all times?
No, that is what happens. 80%, let me say 90% of the time, that is what happens there. But if you insulate them with that budget, that building there is a set of professionals who will go down to the field level officers and generate information. What they require is information. What the members of the National Assembly require at the bottom line is information to do their job. What you need is an agency that will go there, generate the information for them, right, either from the field level officers in the civil service, from the budget agency under the average minister, or the budget agency in the presidency. They generate it and bring it to them. They will now use that body of information to make up their mind. And that's about the only way to solve this problem.
Okay. So as we try to round off this conversation now, how do you think we can institutionalize some of these reforms that you're calling for?
We just implement what I've just shown you. Simple way.
The National Assembly or...
No, it is... The way it is, I don't know. It's unfortunate this government is on its way out. We're now looking at the next incoming.
Which gives you a better time to send
we are looking at the
your reforms to the incoming government.
For me, it is a government that will understand that, look, in Nigeria, this debate about restructuring, we tend to be making the mistake between polity and governance. What is polity? The organizational structure and powers of society. What is governance? The organizational structure, powers and activity process of government for improving the quality of livelihood of the citizenry. Which is more important to you? For me, governance is more important is more fundamental than polity. We should concentrate more on restructuring governance. If we improve the quality of livelihood of Nigerians today, I can guarantee you the agitation for political restructuring will die down.
So what Nigerians are looking for is food. To meet the demands of Nigerians.
Yes, what Nigerians are looking for is food on the table, is security, healthcare. If you can produce this, you will now take your time and then restructure politically. Unfortunately, nobody seems to be talking about restructuring at the realm of governance.
So, in other words, we need a smaller government that works for the people better than the over-bloated government that we have.
If you carry out that restructuring, you will achieve all this.
Okay, we must thank you so much, Dr. Emeka Ejikaonye. We hope to bring you once again to help us educate the public on the public budgeting processes and how we can create reforms to help governments serve Nigerians better. Because from the first slide you showed, I mean, the people were just looking at these people up there. I mean, no connection.
Total disconnection.
While the second slide actually shows a connection and the people being carried along, if I may use that language. We must thank you so much.
Next time you bring me here, you give me more time, I will really appreciate that I can explain this.
Okay, we must thank you so much. We'll create that time, definitely. Dr. Emeka Ejikaonye. We hope to have you some other time. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambo.